Hello guys, my name is Ray. On this day, the 11th of April 1970, a significant event in space exploration history took place, the launch of Apollo 13. Just imagine the anticipation and excitement that filled the air. The world watched with bated breath as the towering Saturn V rocket, a marvel of human ingenuity, stood poised on the launch pad, ready to carry 3 brave astronauts towards the moon. The crew, a trio of intrepid explorers, consisted of Jim Lovell, the seasoned astronaut and mission commander, Jack Swigert, the command module pilot, and Fred Haise, the lunar module pilot. Each one was prepared to risk it all in the pursuit of knowledge and exploration. As the countdown clock ticked towards 0, the atmosphere was electric. The ground shook and the air filled with the roar of the engines as Apollo 13 lifted off. A spectacular sight that marked the beginning of their epic journey. As they ascended, they left behind a trail of fire and smoke, a testament to the power and might of the rocket that propelled them towards the moon. Once in space, the crew settled into their routine, adjusting to life in the weightless environment. They marveled at the beauty of the Earth, a vibrant blue marble suspended in the inky blackness of space. As Apollo 13 sped away from our planet, they were embarking on a journey that would take them farther than any human had ever been before, but as they ventured deeper into space, they remained acutely aware of the risks and uncertainties that lay ahead. Space exploration, after all, is a high-stakes gamble, where the line between success and failure can be razor-thin. And as we all know, Apollo 13 was no exception. Their mission, initially filled with hope and excitement, would soon turn into a desperate struggle for survival. But that is a story for another time. But as we all know, space exploration is fraught with uncertainty and danger, and Apollo 13 was no exception. Just 2 days into the mission on the 13th of April 1970, disaster struck Apollo 13. The serenity of space was shattered by a sharp bang, a jarring noise that echoed through the spacecraft. An oxygen tank had exploded, leading to a critical failure of the spacecraft's systems. This wasn't a minor hiccup, it was a catastrophic event, a crisis that threatened the lives of the 3 astronauts on board, Jim Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Haise. The explosion had caused a significant drop in life-supporting environmental conditions, and the power needed to keep the spacecraft functional was rapidly depleting. Imagine the shock, the disbelief. One moment, you're cruising towards the moon, the next, you're grappling with an event that could end your life in an instant. An eerie silence fell over mission control as the gravity of the situation sunk in. The dream of a 3rd successful lunar landing had turned into a nightmare, a fight for survival against the unforgiving void of space. The crew was over 200,000 miles from Earth, further than any human had ever been. They were alone, in the truest sense of the word, with only their training and their wits to rely on. The cool-headedness of these men, the way they managed their fear and focused on the task at hand, is nothing short of heroic. But they weren't completely alone. Back on Earth, a team of brilliant minds scrambled to find a solution, to bring these men home safely. It was a race against time, a test of human ingenuity and resolve. And the world watched, holding its collective breath, praying for a miracle. With their lives hanging by a thread in a crippled spacecraft, the crew of Apollo 13 faced a dire situation. They were lost in space, not knowing if they'd ever see their loved ones again. The crisis of Apollo 13 had begun, and it was a test unlike any other. In the face of adversity, the true character of the Apollo 13 crew and mission control shone through. The situation was dire. Oxygen was leaking, power was dwindling, and the crew was over 200,000 miles away from Earth. Yet in the midst of this, there was a spark of human ingenuity that refused to be extinguished. One of the most critical decisions was to perform a perilous engine burn. This was a high-risk move, but it was necessary to alter the spacecraft's trajectory and speed up their return to Earth. The crew, with the guidance of mission control, had to manually steer the ship while firing the engine, a feat never attempted before in the history of space exploration. But they did it. Against all odds, they managed to execute the burn perfectly, shaving off precious hours from their journey home. And then came the issue of the rising carbon dioxide levels. The lunar module, intended to support 2 men for 2 days, was now housing 3 men and was expected to do so for approximately 4 days. As a result, the carbon dioxide removal system was quickly overwhelmed. This is where another brilliant display of innovation came into play. Using only the materials available on board, the crew and mission control worked together to construct a makeshift carbon dioxide filter. They had to improvise, using plastic bags, cardboard, and duct tape to make a square filter fit into a round hole. And it worked. This filter was not pretty, but it was effective. It kept the carbon dioxide levels in check and ensured the crew could breathe safely until they reached home. These innovations and decisions were not just about survival. They were about the indomitable spirit of exploration, about facing the unknown and refusing to back down. They were about the essence of what it means to be human, to adapt, to innovate, and to overcome. With their quick thinking and unyielding resolve, they turned a potential disaster into a successful failure. On the 17th of April 1970, the world held its breath as Apollo 13 began its re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. It was a moment of suspense, a matter of life and death. The crew of Apollo 13, after a perilous journey in space, was finally returning home. But the trip back was not without its dangers. The command module, a tiny vessel in the vast expanse of space, had to pass through a precise corridor in the Earth's atmosphere. Too steep an angle and it would be like hitting a brick wall, too shallow, and they would skip off like a stone on a pond, doomed to orbit Earth until their life support ran out. As the command module streaked across the sky, it was enveloped in a ball of fire. Communication with mission control was lost for 3 agonizing minutes, longer than anticipated, heightening the tension. But then, a voice crackled over the radio, "Odyssey here! Splashdown!" The world exhaled in collective relief. The crew of Apollo 13 had made it back safely against all odds. The successful return of the Apollo 13 crew sparked worldwide celebration. It was a testament to human ingenuity and resilience, a triumph over adversity. But it also served as a wake-up call to the inherent dangers of space exploration. In the aftermath, NASA conducted an extensive investigation into the incident. The cause of the explosion was traced back to a design flaw in the oxygen tank. This led to significant changes in the design and procedures of subsequent missions. The lessons learned from Apollo 13 made space travel safer for future astronauts. The Apollo 13 mission was not the triumphant lunar landing it was meant to be, yet, in its own way, it was a success. It showed the world that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, humans could adapt, innovate, and survive. The Apollo 13 mission serves as a stark reminder of the risks and rewards of space exploration. Apollo 13, an odyssey of survival, resilience, and ingenuity, has left us with some valuable lessons. This mission was an unprecedented event in space exploration, reminding us of the critical importance of teamwork, problem-solving, and preparedness for the unexpected. The first key lesson from Apollo 13 is the value of teamwork. The crew of Apollo 13 and the ground team at NASA had to work together in ways they had never imagined. Their ability to communicate effectively, to trust each other's judgment, and to put aside personal concerns for the sake of the mission is a testament to the power of collective effort. The mission demonstrated that when a team shares a common goal and works together, they can overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. Next, we learn about the importance of problem solving. The Apollo 13 mission was a case study in innovative thinking under pressure. When the oxygen tank exploded, the crew and ground team had to quickly devise solutions to problems they had never encountered before. They had to improvise, adapt, and overcome using only the resources available in the spacecraft. Their ability to think creatively and logically in a crisis was crucial to their survival. The third lesson is the significance of preparedness. Apollo 13 highlighted the importance of anticipating potential problems and preparing contingency plans. The mission's success in getting the astronauts home safely was largely due to the extensive training and simulations that NASA had conducted. This incident also led to significant design and procedural changes in subsequent Apollo missions, reinforcing the notion that every setback can be a setup for a comeback. Finally, Apollo 13 taught us the power of resilience. Despite the life-threatening crisis, the crew remained focused, determined, and hopeful. They refused to give in to despair, showing us that courage and perseverance can turn a potential disaster into a triumphant story of survival. Apollo 13, a mission of survival and resilience, has forever etched its mark in the annals of space exploration history.